Everyone, let's welcome in Jeremy Ratchford, as everyone knows from my favorite show, Detective Nick Vera. So I got to ask first, what was it like playing Vera?
I had a lot of fun. I got the writers used to like to write for me because I got to say a lot of uh, fun stuff. One of the favorite lines was, "So he offed her for banging him past the cult expiration date." That was one of the ones I remember people really enjoyed, and I said it in a church.
Oh, yeah, I actually remember that episode. That was a great one, too. I think my favorite Vera episode alone is the one in season five where he's trying to investigate the fire where the guy already died in prison, but he's trying to actually clear his name after he accused him of killing his kids in the fire.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually cried on that one a little bit.
Oh,
What I like is Vera's chemistry with Tom Barry and Tracy Thomas. I think you know I like the brother sister relationships that you forged with both characters.
it was actually a funny story when Tracy first came in. It's the baby episode, and she walks up to me, and I'm rocking this baby that we found outside the police station. And it's her coming to the squad for the very first time. And we had a well respected director, um, but this was his first episode with us. And she comes up, and I'm just like, I'm focused on the kid. I don't give a shit. Can we swear on this? I don't even know. Uh, but he comes up to me, and he said the funniest thing. He goes, "You know what? I haven't watched the show yet, but I think you're being a little too gruff." And I had to look at him and kind of go, "That's my thing. Like, that's I am the kind of grumpy, gruff guy." And I thought it was hysterical because it was like, yeah, I'm the grumpy comic relief.
Yeah, I think that's why he was my favorite of the main cast on the show.
And Tom and I, uh, we still go back and forth with each other. He likes some of my expressions, and I absolutely love his. He's just got, raising hell and putting a chunk under it. Uh, just like he's got so many fucking beautiful expressions.
Yeah, I noticed he's like the king of reaction. Every time that Vera would say something that was kind of dim, I guess that would be, he'd just be like, "Good God."
Yeah, they actually told me, I think it was during the Motown episode, that they had to cut away from me because I was raising my eyebrow in such a way that everyone was laughing their head off. Uh, I can't remember. It was the scene in the record producer's office, I think. But yeah, it was great. The editors are kind of saying, "We can't even cut to you because your face is giving it away."
Uh, I know. I actually like. I can't remember exactly. There's very many of those episodes, but one of the ones where uh him and Jeffries walk into a gay bar and they kind of assume they're a couple. I don't know why. I just the
Uh,
reaction the reactions of that just kind of kill me. And Vera's comment like, "I could do better than him." What?
yeah, I remember that episode very well. And the director said two things on that one that cracked me up. One, he told one of our background people to look at me like I was a frosted cupcake. So I turned around and there's a guy like, and it was funny as hell. And then he was giving direction to the guy we were interviewing, and he says, "I want you to laugh like you just did a line of coke and you're afraid it's going to fall back out of your nose." And he walked away. And I sat there and I went, what the fuck did you just say? Like, it's just like we're direction, but that was like, holy fuck. That was funny, man. That was funny. I said maybe
Oh,
in the 70s, but this is the 90s, baby.
oh, true. I mean, to me, I got really interested in the show. Like the very first episode I watched was called, I think it was the episode with George, John Billingsley's character, and that just hooked me in right away.
That was the funny moment for me because it was really great. But sometimes in the montage, I do remember that one because it was the classic. We were at a crime scene, and then Lily and Danny disappear. Sorry, Lily and Scotty. It's hard to go from real name to character to real.
I do it too. Don't worry. I did it in my retrospective. So
Tom and I are left at this crime scene, and then we show up at the house when they and then get out of the car and then go to the back and then see the heads and then so it was like they kind of went, huh. And it was a classic like don't look in the basement. So they got up and went to the basement, leaving Tom and I there. Um, we had planned in our head our own montage of playing football at the crime scene, slipping through the blood and dropping on the corpse and stuff like that. But it was very just I remember that one too because that was the other one where we had to get out of the car, pull up at the house, and get out of the car, and then they ask you to kind of wait there for a second, and it's very dramatic because you get out of the car. And
I think one of my favorite moments in one of the episodes with George is where he brings up the Chimayo case. And, Vera acts like he's going to break him down. And then George just starts going, well, I think a lot of Juicy Pooches got screwed because of you. And then you start getting in his face like, what'd you say? I mean, that's what made me have Vera as a favorite of mine is because it just shows he's passionate about his work.
yeah.
And he's not afraid to say he's messed up, but boy, he was ready to whoop the crap out of George.
Well, a character was written for the pilot or the breakdown. You get a character description, and it was he doesn't like ties, but he's the go-to guy for a confession.
That's true. He does have a way. I notice it because I do watch a lot of true crime stuff. I know, crazy, right? That a lot of people in true crime videos, they seem to have the Vera character there. And, it feels like real life. So it feels like you do know a Vera.
This was my guy though,
Oh, yeah.
Columbo. I fucking love Columbo.
Oh, yeah. So you
His
basically
wife, his
on
wife
Colum.
did an episode.
I actually think I remember that one.
Yeah, I loved her. She was great.
If only we could put the entire show on DVD, that would be awesome.
Now you know why they can't, right?
Because of all the licensed music and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's the same reason you can't see WKRP.
Well, which is funny that they say that, but Grey's Anatomy and The Sopranos all use licensed music.
Yeah, yeah, you got me there.
I,
I
I
wanted to do a 5 decade Neil Diamond episode because he's had hits in every decade 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010. I wanted to do the all Neil Diamond. And I had a thing with another friend of mine who was like wanting to do the Three Dog Night episode. We never did get that. I tried to pitch the song Black and White for an episode that was literally black and white. It was two best friends, black girl and a white girl, and she disappears for 13 years and comes back. And I thought that
oh,
would have been a great tune for the end of that one.
I actually really loved that episode too. That I think that one was called either Fireflies or Best Friends. There's two versions of them. Fireflies is the one with the two little girls who disappear. One of them disappears, the white girl, and she returns. And then there's the Best Friends one who they were lovers.
Uh, was that one set in the 40s?
The one with the two lovers, I believe, was in the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Moonshine one. That was Mark Pellington directed that, and I think one of the most. I just remember how beautiful it was. A long shot for the violence when the men are beating her up. It's a long shot. It's dusty. It's backlit, and it's violent.
Uh,
The
it's
love story was the cleaning up after, and it was the intimacy of the two girls, and the violence you could really see was their own kind of that mob mentality fear. Just so it wasn't. I just thought it was beautifully shot, and again the cleanup after was so tender, so lovely.
Well, I think one of the show's best attributes is the music. I don't know. I just love their use of music. Like some shows, they'll just throw music in there and it won't make any sense. But Cold Case, I noticed the music that they stick in there, it definitely matches with what's going on.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Mad TV spoof of us?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know there was one.
It should be. Maybe it's out there on YouTube, but uh, I think they use like a John Bon Jovi, but it's like we're singing this song about docs because the show's got a thing and a thing about docs. Oh yeah.
I I need to watch that. I'm gonna have to. Mad TV is very liberal about not putting their stuff on YouTube. They're really bad about that. But as you can tell, my favorite use of music was obviously Genesis and Phil Collins. I mean, those seem to have the most memorable pieces to me.
Well, it's it takes you right back to the era.
It actually sets the scene of that era of what was going on. And I think, like I was mentioning in the episode Mindhunters, when George walks out and they start playing Long Way to Go, it's like, oh, good Lord. They knew exactly what to hit with.
Mm,
Because that song was used in not only the 90s, but it was also used in the early 2000s just to show how long he was going around serial killing people.
yeah.
And I also like that when they actually base some episodes around real life events, like the Thrill Kill episode was based on the West Memphis Three.
Yeah.
I'm from Arkansas, so that was a big thing to me when that episode came out. I was like, oh my God. And when they actually thought that the ones arrested were innocent, I kind of identify with that because I always thought the kids that were arrested for that didn't do it.
Yeah.
A lot of that had to do with police. I'll say it clearly. In Arkansas, we do not have the best police around here, and we did have the Satanic Panic badly.
Well, yeah, that's society in a whole, right? That's the mob mentality, and it's all about fear.
Which in high school I used to wear like a lot of heavy metal band shirts, so people probably thought I worshiped the devil. What was your favorite episode?
Well, I was just about to say you kind of keyed me into something. I remember first season we were down at the beach, um, and we were doing the disco episode, and
Oh,
everyone in the flashback is walking around the halls in the crazy 70s garb, and they're all kind of practicing dancing, the disco dancing, because it's the disco. And someone said, "Oh, that's one of my favorite episodes." And I said, "Really? Because only 27 people were murdered?" I thought that was quite funny. But that was another one I think sort of taken from the pages. That fire, can't remember where it was, in New Jersey or something, but it was
yeah,
horrifying.
I think it was New Jersey. I like the episodes that kind of where the crimes happen in Germantown.
Yeah,
Uh, and I think another favorite of mine is the one where the guy it's very similar to the Mindhunters episode, but he was going around killing people and digging their bullets out. I really liked those two episodes that connected, and the actor that they chose was really, really excellent. I cannot remember his name to save my life, though. He was in Breaking Bad. He's a doctor in Breaking Bad.
oh God, I'm blanching. Um,
I just retrospected it and I mentioned his name. Shame on me.
yeah,
He's a
again, we did I think 150. sometimes they mesh. So I'm not sure which episode that was.
He's
He
a
had
real
a
hit.
lot of great guest cast, man.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I got
And
to interview, or I got to go up with Peter Graves from Airplane, and we got through our interrogation, and then at the end I said, "Do you like gladiator movies?" And the smile that came across his face, and the sound guy came and he goes, "You know, everybody was waiting for you to ask that question." It's like it was so much fun. Had a great
uh,
time with Chad Everett too. That was wild. Talk about old Hollywood stories. We had the woman that was in the original Creature from the Black Lagoon. Um, and we got alerted to that by the makeup department because obviously that was a big makeup movie back in the day. And also,
mm,
this is her, Adrienne Barbeau. Yeah, we had some just vintage classic Hollywood, man.
and then you got some people who actually made it big later on that we didn't know about, like George Newbern from Scandal, and another one of my favorite little guest stars. Oh shoot,
Jennifer
I
Lawrence.
yes, and then Greg Sipes,
Yeah,
and then
and then he was on Breaking Bad as well. He's in the Civil War.
is it the guy who plays Gustavo Fring?
I don't know. In
I
Breaking Bad, he's out when they're doing something with a train and he shoots a kid on a bicycle.
Oh, Jonathan Banks. I know you got him on there. He from Mike is Breaking Bad, and then Jesse Plemons, who played
Yes,
Todd.
that's him, Jesse.
You actually had both those guys because Jonathan Banks played the leader of the motorcycle gang, who coincidentally was, I think he was dating the lady who crushed a guy with the ATM.
Oh God, okay. Oh my
So
goodness.
both
I
shows
got to
mesh.
tell you the truth, man. Uh, I was flipping around the dial not too long ago, and I came across a cold case episode, and I started watching it, and I'm going, "What? What? I have no idea what episode this is." I had to watch for a bit, and then there was a roller skating bit, and I went, "Oh, the roller skating one." And it's like, "Oh, what happened in that one?" Oh, it's amazing. We did a lot of them, and as I said, they're starting to blend.
Uh, there are a lot of episodes. Well, I noticed that none of them really ever seem repetitive. They all seem to have really good character moments and etc. I love that.
Well, I think what makes it stand out against, like, because I've watched the FBI's and the NCIS's and this,
And
uh,
Bone,
yeah, and I think our show had a truly emotional connect because it's about it's unsolved. So the heart is still broken. The heart can't mend until they find out what happened, and that's what the show becomes about. It's the all the detective work, but in the end, it's that moment that they get to release their heart, and I think that's different than I think there's a lot of shows on prime time too that try to have um like moments like they're always trying to do
I don't think any of the,
emotional deep dive, but it doesn't it's what it's I think it was best done on our show.
I agree. And one nice thing that NCIS or Bones or nothing ever seemed to do is we never got to know the victim. We just see their dead bodies or something, and then they're trying to solve it. Here, we're trying to solve it, but we get flashbacks to be introduced to how this person was.
Yeah, and there's always been that moment at the end when they connect with their lover, a loved one crossing over, and it's just like they get to say goodbye.
Some episodes you really don't sympathize well with the victim, like the character that was drowned in the pool who was a pedo. I mean, I was cheering those boys on, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
That was a powerful one. Yeah,
that one was one of the other first ones I saw, and let's just say the very ending of it, it kind of gets me emotional because I hated that they told us that the guy that did do the crime, he was looking at boys, so we would feel less sympathy for him, but still, he was still damaged. And he had every right to do what he did, or this guy wouldn't have stopped.
Yeah. There was another great episode, not on that same line, but I just remember it was young women and they had to swim across, and the one drowned, and she was kind of pushed into it by her friend because they got invited to the cool girl's house, and then they made fun of her and they had to leave.
Oh
And
man.
he actually kills her best friend by getting her to swim across something she couldn't swim across. And she has a line in the middle of the episode, or after she got caught, and she said, "Oh shit, now I'm blanching on that." Um,
I know which one you're talking about.
yeah, but she said something to the effect like, "I didn't know it was gonna end," or like I didn't know it would get better. Like she was the young enough to think that her
Hmm.
role was over. She goes, "I didn't know." Like, and she's like, "Oh God," and it was such a beautiful innocence, I guess, is the way.
It was a heartbreaking episode. The way, because all her friend wanted was her actual friend to be her friend. She didn't want to be bullied and kicked around, but she stood there and took the abuse. And you can't help but just cry when you watch that
Yeah.
episode. Then there's episodes like one of my personal favorites is Lonely Hearts, where the victim was actually a killer. She was joining in with the guy and marrying girls, killing them, and taking their money.
Mm.
I just like how they were able to do that. There is one episode in particular I do find ironic, and I didn't find this out till I did my top 10 list, is the guy who was convicted wrong, played by Michael Jace, turned out that he really was a killer in real life.
Oh,
Uh, if you've ever heard of the actor Michael Jace, the guy who shot his wife.
oh God.
Yeah,
Oh
but
wow.
in the episode, he was wrongly convicted and he was executed. And I didn't know any of this until somebody pointed it out on my channel when I did my top 10 list. They were like, "You do know that Michael Jace is actually a killer?" I was like, "What?"
I yeah, I had no idea.
I had no idea either. So, see, on my Facebook page, you're probably on the page the most people post on you a lot. I think I tagged you in it on Facebook, the Cold Case 2003 2010 page.
Oh, you know what? That's why I had to get you to send it to my email because I can't access Facebook on my computer for some reason. I can only do it on my phone. I stumbled across. I it's all these little icons, and I went, What's that one?" And I hit on it. That was your message. I was like, "What?" There was. I've got messages like pre-COVID that I went, "I didn't know that this paint. Like, where did this come from?" So it was by pure luck I got it within the few days that I got it from you. So yeah, I have no idea if I have that other link.
I normally take it that that's definitely not you saying, "Well, thank you for your business. We appreciate."
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a thank you for visiting us. It's like I talk about myself in a plural. That and there was someone else that did the same thing, and it's done it now 3 times. If I don't respond right away, it's yeah, thank you. Here, I'm going to pull it up. I think it's hysterical.
Yeah, I remember because the very first thing I sent you was, saying, "Hey, I loved you on Cold Case," and that was like last year.
Hi, thanks for contacting us. We've received your message and appreciate you reaching out. What? I have no idea what the hell that is. It just gives us it over and over again. So when did
Oh,
you?
I don't know. Once in a while, I've had friends that would send that, like Corey Feldman and stuff, and he would finally respond and say, "Just ignore those."
You sent this August 12th, 2023.
The very first one.
Holy, see, that's what I mean. I got that last week. I had no idea whatever this area is. I sound like an old fart.
Don't feel bad. I barely know how to work it either.
Yeah,
But
now I'm on that page. I got shit going back to 2019.
yeah, you probably do have a big fan base going on because a lot of people on my well, I'm a moderator on the page, the Cold Case fan page, and as soon as I announced that I was interviewing you, everyone was like, "Oh my God, get a shout out from him for us." So, would you care to do a quick shout out? Say, "Hey, thanks for watching Cold Case page."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, Cold Case fans, thank you for watching. I don't know, but there's a rumor that they want to reboot it. So start writing into the network. We're going to change the name to It's All About Vera.
That's a good name.
Just kidding. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you. And thanks for coming to this page. I'll see what I can do about getting unique content for you.
Anyway, I think what really reignited my love for the show was in 2021, they actually put the entire show on the Roku channel where you could stream it. And I was just like, I was going through it and I'm like, Cold Case. I said, God, I haven't seen that since I was 16. So I put it on and I binged through it in about 3 months. And I just can't get over on how good it is. It still holds up even to today's standards.
Yeah.
I think some of my favorite Vera moments is where he actually is kind of being a father figure to his neighbor's kid.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I just love the chemistry between those two because they really do fight quite a bit. But I really like the girlfriend that he had.
Yep. That was that was a good storyline.
It, I noticed like in the next season, it kind of veered off from that.
Yeah. I there's no telling year to year, episode to episode. They came to me on the 10th episode in and wanted me to be a germaphobe. And I kind of said something has to get me there because I haven't been playing a germaphobe. I was playing the fact that I could have a mustard stain on my tie at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you'd go, "What were you doing?" And I said, then, maybe if I get to a crime scene and I get sick from something at the crime scene that then makes me become paranoid about germs, that's one way to go. And it just never reared its head again.
I'm kind of glad they did that route, didn't go with that there because I think the way that you define Vera in your own way was the better way to go.
Thank you.
There, there's just something really likable about him, even though, I do think that they veer off of him for a while and they try to focus more on Lily and her relationships. And I love Catherine Morris to death. She's fantastic, but it felt like in other episodes, Vera was kind of getting sidelined.
Yep, it happened.
I think it happened to everyone,
Yeah.
but the worst person that it happened to was probably Justin Chambers, who was only in 4 episodes.
Was he in actually four?
Well, he's credited in four, but
Yeah,
I think
because
he in three.
I got a call. I think it was the second episode in about the the soapbox. Uh, and I got a call like the night before saying, "We're sending you some revisions," and I took over his shooting day the next day. Um, and I remember that episode specifically too because I had to say there were three calls to the house the day that Dana Diener died, and I could not get that out because Dana is written Dana, which I'm phonetic, so that's Dana. That's not Dana. Dana would be Daina, Dana, but it was Dana. And then Deemer, if you get Dana, Day, and Deemer, Dreamer, I was going, there were three calls to the house the day the Dreamer, the David, there was three calls the day that Dana Deemer died. So you try to say that, the day that Dana Deemer died. Yeah, I went out of my mind that day. That was
Yeah.
2 episodes in. I'm gonna lose my job, but they can't say this fucking line.
My question was, I'm sure you have no idea what happened with Justin Chambers. Did he just get a different job offer, or was he just not feeling the chemistry?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say here. Obviously something happened. I just remember leaving the beach one day, and our production manager was there, and I said, "How you doing, boss?" And he just went, "I'm waiting on Justin." I was like,
Oh,
oh, "Okay, all right." He, yeah, I don't know what happened. Um, and I offered to stay. I said, "Look, do you want me to stay just in case I could fill in?" And it was, I think, the next day that I got the call saying, "Yeah, you're taking over his scenes for the next episode or two." And then I think Danny came in on the seventh episode.
yep. I remember his appearance. It was actually really good. I didn't gravitate to, Justin's character as well as I did to Danny Pino's character of Scotty.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't. I didn't really get to know Justin at all. Um, uh, yeah,
I've heard he's a nice guy. I mean, I only know a couple of people from Grey's Anatomy. Don't judge me. But I heard he's a nice guy, but I heard he can be difficult to work with.
yeah. Well, I didn't work with him long enough to find out.
So, who is your favorite to work with on the show?
uh, One of the things I heard. What's up, buddy? Huh? Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you. Sorry, I got a peanut gallery. Um, uh, we were known around SAG as a really great show to work on.
Mhm.
And that starts from Catherine on down. Catherine was, the show, and always on time, always good, always knew her lines. We were always running lines. Uh, that was one of the things I was really thankful about. I'm a big proponent of running lines. You can run lines in the makeup trailer. You can run, the more you run their lines, the easier they come off when you're on stage. And I did an episode of NYPD Blue, and Dennis Franz came over to me and introduced him. He said, "Hi, I'm Dennis," which, obviously I knew, but it's very nice that he did that. And he said, "Do you want to run these?" And I was like, "Oh," it was like this. That just makes me happy because that's a pro. There's nothing aloof. There's nothing gimmicky. He's the fucking real deal. And I think
Hmm.
19 Emmys later, he's proven it. So on our show, we had the same kind of approach because our philosophy too was the better a performance we have from a guest star, the better the show is, hands down. Um, so to get to your initial question, I have a unique relationship with each and every one of them. You know, TB and I had fun in our way. John Finn and I just absolutely love John.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Tracy and I got a thing. I'm actually, she has a production company. She's got a team of people that do something. And I was known as Sexy White Chocolate in that group. Um, and uh, who else we got? John, Tom, Tracy. Oh, Danny. Danny and I coached Little League together. Our sons are around the same age. So we had a group, we had a baseball team called the Pirates, and we had a riot. We had a blast on that. Our motto, we would yell at our team, um, "Who are we?" And they go, "Pirates." And I said, "What do we say?" And they go, "R." And we go, "What time is it for the other team?" And they go, "Time to walk the plank."
That's
We had a great time there. And then Catherine, Catherine is the consummate pro, and she's fantastic. And it's really, for me, it's been funny because I've stumbled across some episodes whenever they come up, and I'll sit down and watch a bit of them. Um, and I'm just amazed seeing her. I saw her in a scene with John Finn, and the chemistry with the two of them was just incredible. And I texted her right there, going, "Holy fuck!" Like I'm watching season one, and you're with Finn, and it's just it's fucking magic. Um, I will tell you, this is one of my favorite moments. It was John, Tom, and Catherine, and it was the cult episode. But her apartment gets ransacked. Uh, so there's spray, graffiti, broken stuff. It's 3 a.m. John and Tom are in there with her, and then I come in through the front door, and I basically like sort of like your neighbors don't know shit. So I've been walking around canvassing the neighborhood at 3 a.m. to see if anybody they don't know anything. And I come in and I kind of give my little blurb, and I look over because Catherine had the thing with the one-eyed cat and the three-legged cat,
Yeah, I remember that.
and I look over and I go, "What's wrong with that cat?" And I turn around and walk out. Well, I did it. It's on. The camera's on me, and what makes this important is that it's on. It's my time, and they lost it. John and Tom just they started laughing, and it was just in that I think as you said that was the that if there's a moment for Vera, that's it. It's like the fuck's wrong with that cat? And I turned around and walked out, and I hear them now. We did a second take or something, and they couldn't even look at me the second take because they had their head down and they're laughing. And I deliver the line to Catherine, and I go, "What's wrong with that cat?" I turn around and walk out. Now I know that my back's to the camera. They can't see, you know, they can't. They don't know if I'm talking or not. And I just said, "I would like to thank Catherine for being the only professional in the room and not laughing." And they just kept losing it after that. That was, yeah, I would say if there was a Vera moment to hang my hat on, that was it. Getting John and Tom to break because that's a tough thing to do.
Oh, yeah, that I just love hearing these stories on set. You know, I was just thinking about another guest star that actually was on the show. Do you remember the country episode? Like the country music singer episode?
You know, vaguely. Um,
Well, the actor that they had play like he wasn't a bad guy, but he kind of was. He was, I guess, like was Thomas Ian Griffith,
oh,
and
okay.
and if you've ever watched Cobra Kai, he's Terry Silver.
Uh, I saw that he was in it, and I don't think I worked with him. Uh, if he was in a flashback, because that's the other thing. Some of the people, if they worked in flashbacks, we
No,
barely saw them.
he played both the flashback and the current because
Oh,
it was a
okay.
5 year difference.
I seem to remember shooting in a bar.
You can't
Uh,
miss the guy's like
uh,
6'6", looks like Dracula.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but as I was watching Cobra Kai, because I was thinking of his episode in Cold Case. I'm like, wait a minute, that can't be. And I was, looking at it and I'm like, that's Mitch from Cold Case. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
The dude's so tall. I'm also a Cobra Kai fan, if you can't tell. So,
Yeah. I thought that reboot was incredible.
oh man, hopefully, if Cold Case gets rebooted, you get to reprise your role because I would love to see where Vera goes from here.
Well, 6 months into COVID, my hair was up to here, and my beard. I looked like the mad dog from Barney. or Borneo, and I came up with a plan. I thought they find Vera sleeping on a park bench, uh, homeless, and they come and find me, and they don't realize that I'm on a sting. I'm trying to infiltrate an underground homeless fighting ring. So I thought that would be an interesting character reveal. But
That, that would be so Vera. That's a Vera move.
yeah,
Uh, I was thinking of another episode I wanted to talk about. There's just so many I can keep. I could go on for hours about Cold Case, and I obviously have. I've done 3 videos about the show. But what do you think of you know, the show's getting reintroduced into the popular status again? What do you think? Has that has anyone ever, told you about that? Like, well, yeah, I've
uh,
been watching, you know.
I think the general conclusion I get, one, people don't think we got an ending.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, there
It,
was not, 4 episodes left, and there was no wrap up. Um, but then again, in that sense, it can go on. And I've also found people genuinely miss the show because I think the show makes you feel a certain way. Uh, and again, just the the relief to be able to see someone say goodbye, and that unresolved is then resolved. There's a feeling that people got, and they kind of tell it to me when they say they're fans of the show, that you feel good at the end. You don't feel dirty. You don't feel upset. You're genuinely like, oh, so I think that's that kind of escapism too. People really like it, and they'd love to have it back. Everyone, obviously, anyone that comes up to me talking about it is a fan of the show. So it's not that you know bus drivers are coming up to me saying, "Hey, need that show back on, kid."
you know, there was one show I thought kind of copied, well, a couple shows copied Cold Case's formula. One was Medium because, they would end the same way where she would see the ghosts of the people that she helped.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Medium I thought was dreadfully boring.
Uh, I, if I remember this correctly, I tried to watch it, and if this is, did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay,
what I could.
there's an episode. This is the only one I watched because I was horrified. It's a couple getting it on in a hotel room, and he's talking, and it's all, "Hey, baby, da 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 da," and there's flashes, and it's getting hot and heavy and heated, and then you hear a helicopter, you see lights, and the cops break in, and he's fucking a cadaver,
Yeah, I remember that one.
and I just remember I couldn't I that was it. That's how long I lasted in that show because I was horrified. Or I went, what the fuck? So I never did watch Medium. So I don't know what their ending was.
Now, the other show, most people are probably going to get mad that I say kind of copied Cold Case's formula a little bit, is Lost.
Lost?
Yeah, think about it. Lost uses flashbacks to help tell a story about a character, and that's what Cold Case does.
Yeah, but I remember there's a book. I'll get Network Wars. Hold on 2 seconds.
Okay.
Sorry about that, brother. I can't find it. I'll find it. There's a book, maybe it's like Network Wars or something like that.
I
But
think our old magazine of one of Lost and Cold Case being around in the same articles.
well, this book talks about our show, talks about Lost, uh, and how that came about. ABC was in the dumps, and the guy that came up with that premise, uh,
J.J. Abrams.
no, um, a guy went on vacation with his family to Hawaii, and they said, "Oh, I wonder if we could do sort of the Tom Hanks movie meets whatever, like Gilligan's
Survivor.
Island." And when they were shaping it, they went to Abrams, and Abrams said, "You got to have flashbacks. You got to get off the island, or you're just going to be stuck there, and then you'll die." It's like so that the flashbacks were needed to get off the island to give the show some other stuff. So that was there. This book also starts off with the guy calling Cherry, the guy that wrote Desperate Housewives. Um,
Uh,
and he
Great.
says his phone rings and it's someone from NBC going, "Hey, you got a hit show. Congratulations. That means people are watching television." He says, "Did you bring that here to NBC?" And he goes, "Yeah." "Who exactly did you bring it to?" And even in his, he goes, "I knew better than to say, nope, can't remember who again. Who? Oh, no, 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 no." And then, oh, there's a famous thing for walkers, zombies,
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. They took that to a network. And one of the questions was, do we really need the zombies? Which I think is just hysterical. Do we really need the zombies?
Kind of gives me Back to the Future vibes. Do I really need to swear? Uh, but speaking of which, Vera isn't your only, crime character. You were also in an episode of Bones, which I have been watching Bones, so I noticed you there. I was like, hey, it's Vera.
Was that the poker episode?
I believe so.
Okay. Now here's a funny story. So I do Bones, poker episode. People are at the table. 2 weeks later, I get hired on The Mentalist, and it's the poker episode on The Mentalist. And I show up day one, walking into the hair and makeup, and the girl that was at the table from Bones, we were both in both episodes at the same table. And we're just like, I looked at her, she looked, I said, "Can't tell. We just did this episode on another show." That was the famous thing. Uh, I remember Charlie's Angels, Starsky and Hutch, all these shows. They all, and even our show had one. Um, they all had an episode that had to do with horses. Where the
Yeah,
horses, and
yeah, you're not.
it's always a carousel. But I remember in Charlie's Angels, they found the victim. It's got to be the carousel because it's in the field with horses. No, it's not a field. It's the carousel. The Starsky Nuts saying it's a carousel. Oh, and I think we had a carousel episode.
And you also had quite a bit to do with our childhood. Well, with my childhood anyway. X-Men the animated series.
You see, it's a bit of a misnomer, and I've been going through this. It's really funny. Um, I didn't. I played. Was it? I don't even
Banshee.
know what I played. I didn't play Banshee in the animated series. I played Banshee in the live action. So there's a Gen X who was a Fox backdoor pilot that is 26 years old now.
Mm,
Um, but I played Banshee in the flesh on that one. I didn't. I was up for Wolverine in the original animated series. Um, I didn't get that, and then every time I went back in, at one point they left the mic open so I could hear what they were saying, and I auditioned for a part. He sounds too much like Wolverine. I was like, that's the point. I was fucking Wolverine. And I actually went out for Wolverine twice when I first got down here. Before they went the Hugh Jackman way, I kind of climbed a bit up that ladder. Um, I wanted to be Wolverine. And I walked in for that one too, and I sat down. Obviously, I was a little younger, uh, and I had the goatee, I had sideburns, I had a head of hair. Um, and the guy said, "Wow, you look like Wolverine." And I said, "No, I am Wolverine." I said, "Because I got an advantage that no one in this town has when it comes to Wolverine. I am Canadian, and Wolverine's the only Canadian superhero." And he was like, "Oh," and I said, "And I got to ask you a question." I said, "How come in these sides he doesn't say bub once?" And the guy's like, "Oh, well, I'm not the comic. Brian's the comic buff." And I was like, "Okay," but I had fun because I was half in and out of character with this guy as I was reading for him. But yeah, so I'm not. I think I maybe I played a guy called Cannonball, or maybe that's if I was going for Cannonball. They said it sounds too much like Wolverine. I don't know what it was, but when I actually got back from a gig, I was doing another cartoon, and I knew the guy that was playing Banshee, and he came up to me. He goes, "You just did him live action. What do you do?" Because like I do the voice here. It's like, oh, but I can't get away from it. I get asked this all the time, and it's crazy. But I'm working out at the gym. Uh, this just happened like a month ago because there's been X-Men came out again, and there's a guy working out at my gym that said, "Oh, I got two buddies of mine that are in the X-Men reboot, and I'm going to see it." Uh, we were going for a karaoke night from the gym, um, and I invited. He goes, "Well, I can't because I got to come after. I'm going to go see the reboot of the X-Men." And I turned. I said, "You realize you're looking at an X-Men?" What? I said, "I'm Banshee. I'm Banshee of the X-Men. I'm a fucking bona fide fucking X-Men. I'm one of the first X-Men. We did this 5 years before X-Men lit up." Um,
True.
Funny story, because I can't wait to tell this if we ever do get to the convention, because there's rumor that the Gen X were going to be starting to do the sci-fi conventions. What they found all of us. The last person was in Australia and said, "Sure, I'll do them." Um, but a friend of mine, long story short, we had to go meet someone at Comic Con. So one was an artist, the other was a toy seller, because a friend of mine was getting involved in a toy business. So we needed to meet with these two people. He needed. Last second, his daughter cancels out on going with him to Comic Con down in San Diego. So he turns and goes, "You want to go?" Like the night before, I said, "Sure." We always up for an adventure. So we drive down to San Diego. We meet the artist who gives us the lanyards or the passes.
Hmm.
We walk through security, and I'd never been to Comic Con. So we walk through security, we go back, and they're talking the artistic end of this toy business thing. And the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, give me those back." And he takes our land, or whatever they are. I can't, lanyards? There's, it's the ID or whatever, your security pass. So he takes it back from us. And I don't think I've never been, I don't know. So then we go and we meet with this toy guy who's a really odd duck. Uh, he's got vintage toys uh, and really eclectic counsel coming through. And we're there, and my buddy's meeting with him, but he's also doing business at the same time. So it's like a haphazard meeting. And at one point, someone asked me, like, "How much for the Spider-Man?" And I'm like, "Oh, hey, how much for the Spider-Man?" It's like $40. Okay, $40. Like, I don't care. Uh, their meeting's going on. Someone else asked me a question, and I'm like, oh, how much for the Catwoman? I don't know. And all of a sudden, security is in front of me. And the guy going, where's your security pass? I said, I think it's inside. Like I, and he goes, yeah, are you sure about that? I said, yeah. I came in, I got it from an artist. I said, I think he's in there. And yeah, oh, and why? And he's like, you can't be here if you don't have a security pass or something. And I'm like, okay. Like, and I'm kind of, and then another security guy, two more show up, and this guy's still interrogating me, and I'm kind of going, I got no dog in this fight. But the guy behind him says, oh yeah, I recognize this guy from yesterday. And I kind of want to go, no, you don't, because I wasn't here yesterday. I'm here because my buddy's got a meeting. I'm I got no dog in this fight. I've seen enough 400-pound Batmen. I've seen enough 40-year-old bald men dressed up as Princess Leia. It's the weirdest, fucked up kind of place because you've got insane fans, and then you've got like people. It's like, whoa. And then they call the police, whoever's on the police patrol. This guy comes walking over to me, and I said, look, I'm here on my buddy has a meeting. I'm just helping out for a second, but like I got nothing. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, I really, I couldn't. And the other guy starts. Oh, then he says, the first guy that did the interrogation goes, I'm going to go in to this shop, and if there's one lanyard missing, that's yours, and I find it, I'm kicking this whole booth out of here. And I'm like, dude, I gotta go. I told my friend, I said, my buddy Mitch, I said, Mitch, I gotta go. Like, then the guy comes back. Oh, the cop then looks at me and goes, do I really need to be here? I said, no, like I'll leave. Like again, I'm not, I kick myself now for not trying to run just to see what would have happened. Have I just gone, whoa, and tried to run, like, get that guy. Why? Because he was here without a lanyard. What else? And the guy, he turns to the other two guys and he says, escort this guy out of here, and don't stop till you get past the double doors. And it was take him out through door 400 or something like that. Something. So now I got these two guys escorting me out of the Comic Con, and again, the one guy gets out ahead of me, and the same guy that said I recognize this guy from yesterday, he says, "Hey man, for $50, I can get you back in here." And I was like, "No, I'm done. I'm so fucking done here." And I felt like saying, "I wish, like, if we ever get back, I could tell the story." But I wish I was so tempted to kind of go, "Dude, I'm the original Banshee. If that got out in this convention, these people would go fucking crazy. Like that's the power of Marvel." So
Yeah.
fun. But I just
Well,
kept my mouth shut because I wasn't about to, like, do you know who I am? I'm Banshee. Nah, not much time.
that was back when Marvel was making quality stuff. Nowadays, they're just making stuff.
You know, it breaks my heart. Uh like it got to a point, I don't know which Spider-Man is it anymore. Like they
I think
had
it,
I think they've had 234 Spider-Man movies now, played by 700 different Batmans or Spider-Mans. The other thing I don't understand, I'm a Batman guy, uh, but I'm the original series Batman guy. I
Adam
don't
West.
know. I don't know when the came in. When did the drop your voice down to a growl? Didn't understand it. Um,
That'd
but
be 05. Yeah.
it also, I posted on Facebook at one point when the Avengers came out and made $3 billion in a weekend. And I posted something on Facebook saying, "Hey, dear Avengers, thanks for saving the planet yet again. Now could you be really true superheroes and take part of the 3 billion and invest in the education system here in America, invest in Flint water? Like, can you solve problems like superheroes with the billions of dollars that we made on that movie?" And as a friend of mine said, I think it was Pellington, again, a director of Cold Case, he
Hmm.
wrote a nice op-ed on when Superman versus Batman movie that they spent 200 million on, and he said you could have given $2 million to 200 direct film students or directors. You could have given 200 of them $2 million each, and we'd have 200 movies. Instead, we've got one movie where like they're all the same. They're all the same. I got my kids are now what 2017, 13. Um, so we did them all when they were kids, but I just got to the point I got superheroed out. I,
Personally, I think the best Batman ever was Michael Keaton.
yep.
Then my second favorite was the great late Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy, I don't know who he is.
He did the voice of Batman from the cartoon series.
Oh, okay.
He passed away about 2 years ago.
Okay.
Very, very painful to find out too, because he was like a lot of people's Batman. I mean, Keaton's mine though.
See, I'm old enough to do Super Friends, and
Hey,
those
those
were Saturday morning. The voices on that Aquaman. It was like Casey Kasem and all. Yeah, there was some great voices on that.
so I'm hoping that the Cold Case reboot. I know I'm keep getting off track with everything, but you know, I'm hoping that
I'm kind of known to go on tangents.
so am I, and I think that's why we're getting along so well. Because the page is probably going to be watching this and be like, "Well, how did they go from Cold Case to Batman to?" Uh, but I got to say, I'm really honored that you did come on to be a guest here.
Oh, thanks for asking, man. Yeah.
I mean, I've been a fan of Cold Case since I was about maybe 15, 16. So yeah, it was just such a, I kind of nerded out when you answered back. Well, at first, when I seen your name, I was like, where do I know that name? I know that name because it said Jeremy Ratchford accepted your message. I said, what is that name? And then I look at it like, oh my God, I thought it was Vera.
But like I said, I had no idea you sent that in August. I just saw it. I'm on Instagram. I have a ride on Instagram. I don't know why I can't get Facebook on my computer. It keeps going back to an alias.
See, I don't use Instagram.
I've been having a ride on it. But I opened up Jeremy Ratchford for Facebook because I'm not one to toot my own horn. Um, but then I was with an organization and people were like, "I want like you were on some show last night. Like, why the fuck didn't you tell us?" I was like, "No, we want to see that." I was like, "Oh," it's like you should do this. You should. I was like, "All right." I still haven't done it though because I just feel weird about like, "Hi, I'm on TV tonight. Go watch." I just, mind you, I'm been doing podcasts. Ethan from Combat Radio. I think it's combatradio.com. You can find it on YouTube. Um, we've been breaking down movies, uh, and it came about because he's a big movie guy, and when COVID hit, my then 9 year old and I we started watching 70s disaster flicks. We watched Earthquake, Towering Inferno, and we did the Airport series, and then my buddy Ethan called up, wanted to do and I said, well, let's. We started off with Earthquake and Towering Inferno and had a riot. And then from there we went into Magnum Force, comparing Magnum Force to the Gauntlet, two old Clint Eastwoods. Um, and we've been doing that ever since. So we've been promoting that because it's something like that's something fun you can go watch, and he edits things in and it's really great. We're gonna be doing another one in the next week or so. Um, and then we did one. I don't know if you saw Small Town Crime, but we had the
Yeah,
Nelms brothers. Hmm?
I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Okay, good. We did the Clint Eastwood one with the Nelms boys, so that was so much fun breaking down two Dirty Harry movies with guys that are I consider the next comers in this business.
You know what? One day on my channel, we should you and I should just break down cold case episodes just for the heck of it.
That's a lot of work. I'd have to go back and watch them and go, oh yeah.
Well, I mean, we could view them, like get it on Zoom and then view it as we go, and you could be like, "Well, I like this part because,
We'd have to do the cat episode then.
yo, yeah, I think that's in season 3. I'm pretty sure that's before she was shot. That's pretty bad that my memory, I can remember exactly what moments what.
I do remember people laughing uh, when the guy takes Catherine hostage and gets me to handcuff myself to the file cabinet, and he shoots John Finn in the shoulder and
I know.
then takes her into the box. And I remember everyone laughed. As soon as he left the room, I just pulled the fucking filing cabinet over to my desk to get my key. And then just,
Uh,
I was a mountain gorilla. I host the NAPO Awards, the National Association of Police Officers, and they're obviously they watch the show. I had someone come over saying, "Hey, thanks to shows like yours, you give us a human face because we do get such a hard rap in the media." So they're fans of the show, but that episode had aired right before an event I did there years ago, and I said, "What'd you think?" Oh, because that was the whole thing. I said, uh, "The window breaks behind John when he gets shot, but they say I have to stay with him." And the cops all went, "Nah, he was fine. The bullet went straight through." So, but there's always these reasons. That was another thing on the show too. It's like there's always a reason you kind of go, uh, would that have happened? Like, can this happen? And they're like, well, no, it's the montage. Like, there's always like these little. There was one point. Oh, this is one of Tom and I's favorite. It's the guy that talks people into their grave, and he picks up a homeless kid, and it was based on a real story.
yeah,
That I would drive around in a van and offer you a drink, and he'd have his own, and yours is laced with lye or whatever, and you choke to death. But in this one, he just gets the kid in the car and just talks him into believing he's just going to bury him. And as TV pointed out, he goes, "Let me tell you, if it's you that's between me and my maker, it's on. Like you're not going to talk me into a grave." But at the end of that one, I remember because it was my birthday too.
oh wow,
But we were shooting in Griffith Park, and it's the grave scene, but we've saved the kid. But I befriended one of his homeless fellow prostitute kids. It's that bad shady part of it. Uh, but even at one point he goes, "I've just known him for like 2 weeks, but it's kind of the only friend he's got." So then I bring him to the crime scene, and then they want me to walk him into the crime scene, and then he gets to hug his buddy. And I kind of went, "Why am I bringing this kid to the crime scene? It'll contaminate it. Like you can't walk him past the caution tape." And they're like, "Well, oh no, no." First I said, why am I doing this? Because Tracy was a junior. I said, shouldn't Tracy be doing this? And I think I was just trying to get out so I can have a birthday drink.
Yeah,
Like, shouldn't Tracy be doing this? And they're like, well, no, you're the veteran officer. I said, then why am I even bringing him to the crime scene if I'm the superior or whatever? And they literally turned around. It's the montage. And I was like, okay, so it's nothing to do with police procedure. It's the montage.
and it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, you
It's
gotta. But that's
character.
what do they call it? Cinematic immunity. That's what it's known. Cinematic immunity.
Man, I could just hear these stories all day.
I got
but
a billion of them, baby.
but anyway, I guess we could end this about right here if you'd like to.
Sure.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and I really enjoyed every second of this. Honestly, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for asking, man. It's been a blast. And there you go. Oh yeah, here you go. Bring this up. This is the thing I love.
Oh yeah, we got to see it.
Yeah. I made Mad Magazine, baby.
I would totally put that in my living room.
Yeah, there I am. I got my name, Knock Vera, and I've been collecting Mad magazines since I was a kid. And when I heard this, I went out down to my local. I said, I need 100. He had to order them, and he goes, "Are you in it?" Because no one orders 100 of one magazine, but if I find one, I'll send it on to you. We'll have to get mail-in details or what have you.
Man, I would love that, honestly. Anyway, is there anything you want to say before I close out?
No, just hey, if you hear about a reboot, write in saying that Nick's the most important character ever, and he's just got to be a bit. No, I'm just kidding.
I,
Um,
hey,
yeah,
he is important.
I just again, thanks for coming to the and thanks everybody. Like that's the whole deal. If people weren't watching, I wouldn't have a job. So I appreciate everybody taking the time and everybody that takes the time to write a letter or whatever it takes. I truly appreciate the fans out there and the fans of the show because they do. They come up. The funny thing I get is again I'm going to go on, but when I in real life when the show was on and my kids were younger, sometimes they're on my shoulders, and I'd always get the same people turn and look at me and they go, you sound like that guy on Cold Case. It's like, I am. But I'm not pissed off. I'm not grumpy. I'm actually having a riot with my son, wherever. But, and then there was one, um, we were at a sporting goods store, Big Five, and a girl comes up to me and she goes, you're on Cold Case. And I was like, yeah. She goes, cool. And she goes around the corner at like 30 seconds. She goes, Dad, Dad, the guy from Cold Case is here. And then she says, the white guy. Like, it was just like, I've never been described as the white guy. And then someone else did the same thing. They were talking to someone, and a TV was talking to somebody, and they said, "What about that? The kind of grumpy guy." They were trying to get the name of his partner. That was me, the kind of grumpy guy.
You should have responded with, "I'm the sex appeal."
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing I used to do when people would you'd get set visitors or what have you, and I'd sit there and I kind of talk to them and I go, "Who's your favorite character on the show?" And invariably they go, "Catherine," and I go, "I'm right here. I'm right here. I just asked you," and they went also like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I'm kidding. I'm kidding." I do the same thing with the tours that would go by the lot. If I was at work and they came by, I would, as you can see, tell stories. And that was
Oh
the
yeah.
same thing. I'd always kind of go, "Oh, who's your favorite character?" I said, "Oh, we love Catherine." I'm like, "I'm right here."
Well, you don't got to worry about that for me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, brother. Thanks, brother.
Vera's awesome. I mean, I mean, he could be badass, but he was the funniest character, and he had the best line delivery.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
All right. Hold on here. I'm trying to find this button. I know it's around here somewhere. There we go. I found it.